All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever stared at a stock chart and it just looks like a bunch of random squiggles? Just complete chaos? Well, you're not alone. And today, we're going to decode all of that. We're going to learn the absolute bedrock skill of reading what's called price action.
And, a lot of people really do think that's all it is. They see those jagged ups and downs and just think, wow, that's totally unpredictable. It's just noise. You've heard the phrase, right? A random walk down Wall Street. But what if it's not random? What if there's something else going on?
What if every single one of those little moves is actually part of a bigger conversation? I mean, a language of buying and selling, of fear and of greed. So in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to learn the basics, the grammar of that language, by treating the price chart like the market's own blueprint.
Okay, so first things first, we've got to understand the big picture. Before we can zoom in on all the little details, we have to map out the entire landscape. The basic structures, the floors and ceilings that really define what the market is doing.
So what even is price action?
Well, honestly, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just the raw movement of a price over time. That's it. We're not talking about complicated indicators or some secret formula. It's the purest way to look at the market. Because what you're seeing is the end result of every single buy and sell decision made by every single person. It is a direct, unfiltered look at supply and demand.
And that brings us to the two most important concepts you'll ever learn: support and resistance. It's actually pretty simple. Think of support as a floor. Price comes down, hits this level, and buyers tend to jump in and stop it from falling any further. Resistance, on the other hand, is the ceiling. Price goes up, bumps its head on the ceiling, and sellers usually show up to push it back down. These two levels, they're the major battlegrounds you'll see on the blueprint.
Now, this is where it gets really cool. This is one of the most powerful ideas in all of trading. What happens when the price finally gets enough oomph to smash through that ceiling, through that resistance? Well, that old ceiling doesn't just vanish. It actually flips. It turns into the new floor of support for the next leg up. This role reversal is a huge clue that the entire dynamic of the market has just changed.
Okay, so we have floors and ceilings, but how do we know which direction things are generally moving? Simple. We look for a trend. And an uptrend is just this beautifully simple repeating pattern. Look, price pushes up to make a new high. Then it pulls back a little, but, and this is key, it doesn't go all the way back down. Then it pushes up again to an even higher high. This little dance, this sequence of higher highs and higher lows, that's the market screaming at you, hey, the buyers are in charge right now.
All right, so we've got the big picture, the landscape. Now, let's grab a magnifying glass and zoom way in. If support and resistance are the floors and ceilings of our blueprint, then things like candlestick patterns, well, those are the individual words and sentences. They tell us what's happening right now.
So let's do a quick rapid fire of a few key signals. First up, the doji. See that? The body is basically just a flat line. That's because the price opened and closed at almost the exact same spot. It's a perfect picture of a tug-of-war between the bulls and the bears where nobody won. Total indecision. And when you see indecision, it often means a change is coming.
Okay, next up, the bullish engulfing. Now this one is way more aggressive. You have a red candle, a down day, and then the very next day, a green candle so massive that its body completely swallows or engulfs the one before it. This is a powerful signal. It's like the buyers just stormed the field and completely wiped out all the sellers' progress from the day before.
And then there's the hammer. I love this one because it tells a great story in a single candle. See that long tail at the bottom, that wick? That tells you that during the day, sellers tried to push the price way, way down. But they failed. The buyers came roaring back, pushed the price all the way back up, and closed it near the top. It's a picture of a failed attack by the sellers, a major rejection of lower prices.
So these little candles, these words, they start to form bigger sentences and paragraphs over time. We call these chart patterns, and they just reflect the psychology of the entire crowd. You've got things like a head and shoulders, which can warn that an uptrend is dying. A double bottom can signal that price has finally found a solid floor. And something like an ascending triangle, that shows buyers are getting more and more aggressive, coiling up for another push higher.
Okay, this is great. We can see the patterns, we can read the signals. But here's the big question. How do we know if we should trust them? Are they real? To figure that out, we have to look under the hood. We need to see the force that's actually driving the price, things like conviction and momentum.
So let's paint a picture. Imagine the price has been bumping its head against a ceiling, that resistance level. again and again and again. And then, boom, it smashes through. This is it. This is the moment every breakout trader lives for. It looks like the beginning of a huge move.
But wait, is this for real? I mean, is this a genuine breakout with real power behind it? Or is it a trap, a fake out designed to suck everybody in right before it crashes back down? This is literally the million-dollar question. So how do we tell the difference?
The answer, my friends, is volume. Volume is simply how many shares are being traded. It's the crowd. And as you can see here, it makes all the difference. A breakout that happens on wimpy, low volume, probably not going to last. There's just no conviction behind it. But a breakout that happens with a massive spike in volume, now that tells you the big players, the crowd, everyone is on board. That is a high conviction move. Yeah, this quote just nails it. Think of it this way. Price is the car. Volume is the gas in the tank. You can have a fancy car, but without gas, it's not going anywhere, right? Same thing here. A price move without volume is probably not going very far. It is the absolute ultimate confirmation tool. Okay, let's take a breath. We've got all the pieces of the puzzle now. We've got the landscape, our floors and ceilings, we have the real-time signals, the words and sentences, and we've got our confirmation tool, volume. Now it's time to put it all together. This is how we go from just reading random lines on a blueprint to actually understanding the entire plan.
So here are the key takeaways, the rules of the road for beginners. And these aren't just tips, they're essential. First, always start with the big picture, the higher time frames to get your bearings. Second, look for confluence. That's a fancy word for when multiple different signals all point in the same direction. That's powerful. Third, and you know this one, never trust a breakout without that volume confirmation. Also remember that support and resistance are more like zones, not laser-thin lines. And finally, be patient. Wait for these patterns to actually finish before you jump the gun.
And that brings me to maybe the single most important point of all. How many of these signals should you rely on all by themselves, in total isolation? The answer, as you can see, is a big fat zero. A single candlestick pattern floating in the middle of nowhere is just noise. The real magic, the true language of the market, only appears when you start combining these clues. It's about seeing how everything fits together on the blueprint.
So I'm going to leave you with a final question. Now that you've seen how all these pieces fit together, the next time you pull up a chart, ask yourself, are you just looking at it or are you finally reading it? Because you have the basics now. The blueprint is right there in front of you, just waiting for you to see the story it's telling.